Hello everybody, it's time for yet another episode of the All-CAW Wrestling podcast type thing.
Oh yeah!
And once again we're taking a delve back into the 80s with the WWE Network. This is actually going to be the first time that we take a look at a WCW pay-per-view. Well, an NWA pay-per-view anyway. And we're going to be comparing it alongside a WWF one for the first time. Now, I am the Big Daddy D, and I'm joined here at the podcasting table by...
Sup, Little Daddy E, back showed up.
Little Daddy E's back, and along with...
Little Natty. Hello.
Now, following the success of WrestleMania 3 and the huge rivalry between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, Vince McMahon wanted to create another big annual event. Something like this had been tried before, such as the Wrestling Classic in 1985 and the Big Event in 1986, but nothing had really come out of these. Vince McMahon decided that this new show, entitled as The Survivor Series, would be broadcasted on Thanksgiving Night, November 26, 1987. The problem was, WCW, who were still operating under the NWA banner at the time, were planning to broadcast their own show, Starrcade, on the exact same night.
Oh my.
Yes, you can see where this is going. Starrcade had been the NWA's biggest annual show for a number of years, sort of like their equivalent of WrestleMania. Starrcade had previously been broadcasted on closed-circuit television, but this year they decided to take the plunge and make this a pay-per-view event. So yes, this was actually the NWA's, and by extension, WCW's first ever pay-per-view. This event would also feature wrestlers from the Universal Wrestling Federation, which had been purchased by Jim Crockett Promotions shortly before the event. The show was bet to be one of the biggest and most important ones in NWA history.
Ha! It wasn't.
And so the show was expected to make a lot of money.
Ha! It didn't.
Because Vince McMahon had other ideas.
Ha! He did.
Using the success of WrestleMania 3 as a bargaining tool, McMahon threatened that any cable companies who aired Starrcade instead of Survivor Series would not be allowed to broadcast WrestleMania 4. And seeing as WrestleMania 3 had made a lot of money, you can guess what happened. Most cable providers gave in to McMahon's demands. The demands of Vince McMahon.
The man demands.
The Vince Demand McMahon, or whatever. And in the end, only a handful...
Vince McDemand.
Okay, whatever. Enough of that joke. And in the end, only a handful of them actually ended up airing Starrcade. This would turn out to be one of the very first shots fired in the ongoing feud. And the phone's ringing!
Oh crap!
Sorry about that, the phone rang. Where was I? Oh yes, this would turn out to be one of the very first shots fired in the ongoing feud between WWF and WCW over the years. Now then, we did attempt to watch Starrcade 87. However, you two found the show a little hard going, right?
Oh god, it was
Yeah,
boring.
it was really boring.
So, what was it that you didn't like about NWA Starrcade?
It was just like the type of matches that they had. They weren't like...
Interesting.
There weren't very interesting types of matches.
I suppose you're sort of more used to the...
The wrestling wasn't really...
Were you sort of more used to like the over-the-top sort of razzmatazz, if you like, of the WWF? So, sort of seeing the WCW style was like, it's a bit boring this in comparison.
Yeah.
I think at one point...
Like the scaffolding matches. They were just
they had a
boring.
scaffold
Because
match.
all they were doing was just slamming them on thing. They weren't even like
Yes.
powerbombing each other or anything. They were just like grabbing the face and shoving it down and kicking and punching and shit.
The scaffold match is a very dangerous type of match, and it's also a very boring type of match as well. So they're going through all that risk, and you're not really getting an exciting match out of it. You know, there is a very good reason why WWE, WWF have never done a scaffolding match. Your thoughts, Little Daddy E?
It was boring.
You weren't keen on it.
Nah. The scaffold match was kind of like the Doomsday Cage match WCW had at one time. See, it was incredibly dangerous and they couldn't really do anything except kick and punch.
Yeah.
And shove each other's faces into the floor.
I don't think it really helped either that in terms of production values, WCW just seems to be light years behind WWE at the time. It's like if you sort of show Survivor Series 87 and Starrcade 87, and if you said that's in the same year, people wouldn't believe you, because Starrcade 87 looks like it could very well have been from 1977.
Just in colour.
Well, it doesn't help that the lighting in the arena for Starrcade looks like something out of a bad ECW show, and the arena itself looks about half empty, which certainly doesn't help the atmosphere, and it doesn't bode well for a show that's supposed to be the biggest NWA.
All you can see is the ring. You can't even see like the crowd or anything because
No.
all that's just black.
No, and as I was saying, it doesn't bode well for a show that's supposed to be the biggest NWA event of the year. Already within the first 5 minutes, WWF looks like the better show.
The camera angles were a lot different how the shot as well. Like in WCW or NWA, I guess. I'll stop saying like all the time. The camera's more up close to really close to the wrestlers, like it was more like a boxing match or something.
Yes.
But in WWE, it's like panned out so you can see everything.
So you can see more of the action. Yeah. They do tend to sort of get in very close with the cameras in NWA and
Problem
WCW
is,
as well.
that is you really couldn't see what anything was going on.
Yes. We do get a decent enough 6-man tag team match to start off with Sting, Michael Hayes, yes, that Michael Hayes, the one that you who's like a road agent now, and Jimmy Garvin taking on Rick Steiner, Eddie Gilbert and Larry Zbyszko. Sting was already crazily popular with the fans, even at this early point in his career. And this was actually during a time when Rick Steiner looked and acted fairly normal, until a car accident a few months on from this would scramble his brains a little bit. Anyway, decent match, but completely ruined by the bullshit time limit expired ending. I mean, seriously, the time limit expires, so we end the match. What's all that about? We've got this really exciting match going on. Oh, and it's run out of time. Sorry. It's at this point we see our commentating team of Jim Ross, along with Tony Schiavone and his porn star moustache. Thank God he shaves that off later. Ooh, Tony Schiavone in a porn.
That just conjures up all sorts of images. Yeah.
I have now seen what cannot be unseen.
Next up, it's Dr. Death Steve Williams versus Barry Windham. Now, this is what you guys were talking about the other day when we were recording Randomness Rules 5.
Yeah.
Which Randomness Rules 5, Seth Rollins' penis. Funny it should be called that because we ended up getting some sort of penis-related stuff in here, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
This match is only notable for a couple of things. One, it's the last ever appearance of the UWF Championship belt, and two, Windham accidentally headbutts Dr. Death right in the knackers during a leapfrog.
Yeah. Now this might not seem so bad, even with the fact that it seemed to be clutching in pain for a lot of the match, until you realise that it's also because this gave him a gigantic throbbing erection for the entire match.
Yes, it was. And it had quite baggy tights on at the start.
So that didn't really help
And then when he stood up, you could just see like this point coming out the front, and it was all stretched on his pads.
I believe if the match from Jimmy Garvin was in, you could sort of see the outline of his balls as well, which is
He was laid down on the floor with his legs sort of like open, and he was in his belly, and you could see the outline of his ball sack.
Oh, I find it quite worrying that you guys spent the majority of this match staring at Dr. Death's dick.
We didn't. We just saw it when he stood up.
We tried not to believe it.
Well, anyway, the fans got bored of this one very quickly. They obviously weren't looking at the penises quite as closely as you two were. And it ended very quickly at the 5-minute mark when Williams rolled up Windham for the pin. It wouldn't surprise me if he'd actually been legitimately injured during the crotch ram, and that's why they had to cut the match short.
Oh my, crotch ram.
But this will be the last time you see the UWF Championship
Oh
belts.
yeah, and Windham was like talking to Dr. Death. And he was like, you okay, yeah, putting thumbs up and stuff.
Yeah,
it was like quite obvious that he was
Kayfabe died.
Yeah. Everybody, it's like a botchamania. Everybody talks too much. Jesus, you are right. I appear to have rammed my face right into your gentleman vegetables.
On purpose.
So, I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was generally an accident. So next we've got the scaffold match, and again there's a very good reason why WWF have never put on this type of match. It's a very dangerous match where the chances of being severely injured are quite high, and the matches tend to actually be as boring as hell. Mainly because the wrestlers are perched up on something very high up and quite thin to walk up.
It's actually two horizontal ladders in the line with like steel. It was just like steel panels on top of them.
It's not good. And they're absolutely terrified of falling off it, are the wrestlers. Oh, and that's how you win a scaffold match, by the way. You've got to throw your opponent off it.
Oh, that sounds safe.
Yeah, good thinking there. Whoever came up with the idea for that match, eh? Anyway, it's
Not everyone can be Mick Foley.
No. So anyway, it's the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express, and they're doing the best here, I'm sure. But at this point, we've already gotten completely bored with this pay-per-view, and we actually end up switching it off and watching Survivor Series instead. You guys were just fed up at that point. You didn't watch any more of Starrcade after this.
No.
So we actually went on to Survivor Series. But later on, I actually returned to watch the rest of the event by myself. Although it's already clear which event you two prefer.
Yeah.
And we're only sort of 3 matches in. Rock and Roll Express win, by the way.
Yeah.
Not just this match, but the award for Best Mullet of the Night. So next match is another final appearance for a UWF belt, as NWA TV champion Nikita Koloff faces off against UWF TV champion Terry Taylor. There was some pointless angle behind this, but really the whole point was to bury the UWF in Jim Crockett's graveyard. Pretty much like what Vince McMahon would do about 14 years later with WCW Survivor Series 2001. Anyway, decent enough match once it got going, but it's clear that Taylor is there for one reason, and that's to do the job. One running clothesline later, and Koloff has unified the 2 TV titles together. Taylor would later head off to the USWA, and shortly afterwards the WWF, because it really couldn't get much worse for him, could it?
Red Rooster.
Next up is a tag team title match as Tully, Blanchard and Arn Anderson take on the Road Warriors, also known as the Legion of Doom. It looks like the Roadies were absolutely guaranteed to walk out with the titles after years, literally years of pursuing the Horsemen. But unfortunately, it's Dusty Rhodes that's doing the booking at this point in the NWA's history, and we get the infamous
Dusty finish.
Yes, where it looks like the Road Warriors have won the match and the titles, but then it's revealed that because Arn Anderson got thrown over the top rope, that's a disqualification, and the Warriors aren't the champions after all.
What?
Yes, the NWA had some weird ideas about wrestlers being thrown over the top rope for some reason. Again, who came up with that idea?
Better not show them a Royal Rumble match.
Anyway, the crowds are already fed up as it is, and they end up chanting bullshit at the finish. And speaking of Rhodes, he's up next in a US title match inside a steel cage against a very green around the gills Lex Luger. It's Luger's title versus Dusty's career, which hardly seems to be a fair trade. Again, Dusty is doing the booking for the NWA at this point, so is there any doubt at all who's going to win this?
Nope.
Lex Luger.
You're funny. Anyway, Dusty bleeds, he throws a wobbly looking drop kick, literally wobbly, he takes his top off and it's like, oh god, put it back on!
Luger tries to put him into torture rack, but Dusty is just too fat!
Yep, who would have thought that there were advantages to being morbidly obese?
You mean obese, not obese?
Yes.
The obese incarnate Bork Laser.
The obese incarnate Dusty Rhodes. The cage is pretty much ignored, which makes me wonder why they even bothered with it in the first place. Luger slaps on an arm bar for an extended period of time. No doubt so he can adjust his pants and have a bit of a rest. He does a lot of pants adjusting, does Lexi.
Oh my.
Dusty makes a comeback. Someone throws in a chair for Luger. Luger waits for Dusty to peel his fat ass off the mat. Then he takes a ridiculously long amount of time. Oh, I'll just casually walk over and bend over to pick up this chair. Oh shit, Dusty has DDT'd Luger on the chair. A very sloppy looking DDT, I should add, in order to get the pin and the US title. Because, hey, we don't want to push that young up-and-coming talent, do we?
Oh no, Dusty Rhodes is for future.
And then finally, we get an NWA World title match as Ron Garvin takes on Ric Flair. Basically, this match only existed so that Flair could lose the title and then regain it again at Starrcade, their biggest show of the year. But there were no top babyfaces at the time that was stupid enough to want to be a paper champion that essentially was just keeping Ric's belt warm for him. Except for Ronnie Garvin. And then, because none of the top heels were dumb enough to put Garvin over when everyone knew that Flair was just getting the belt back off him anyway, they all refused to job to him. So there was no one for Garvin to defend his title against, so they just gave him some time off. They said, yeah, go on, take a bit of time off, just come back to drop the belt back to Flair. This made him look like an absolutely bloody useless champion in the eyes of, well, everyone really.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's no wonder Crockett went out of business.
It's another cage match.
Oh yes, because the first one wasn't good enough, wasn't it? The two of them do a blade job. In fact, no, sorry, Flair does a blade job, obviously because he's trying to outdo Dusty's in the previous match. And it's obviously, whenever they do a blade job, it's obviously an attempt to try and make the match seem more interesting than what it is. It didn't work. The conclusion to this match was so predictable it makes you wonder why they even bothered having it, really, as Flair kind of picked up Garvin and rammed his head into the cage and pinned him, sort of thing, you know. So that's it, really. Hope you enjoyed your One Brush with Greatness run, because you sure as hell aren't going to get another one. So, a so-so match with a crap ending. So in conclusion, not really a great representation of what the NWA had to offer. For a pay-per-view debut, it was very disappointing, very boring. You guys switched off after the third match. I don't know, maybe I need to go back and watch some of the previous Starrcades that didn't air on pay-per-view in order to see what all the fuss was about. Because here, none of the matchups had a good angle behind them, and the matches themselves were less than thrilling. A very awkward and disappointing show for the NWA. Not that it mattered much, because the buy rates were absolutely shite, and that was even without Vince McMahon throwing a spanner in the works. So with that in mind, let's go over to the Survivor Series now.
Yeah.
And we have the ever-reliable team of Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura on hand to provide commentary for the event. And Jesse's wearing a pilgrim's hat.
For some reason.
Well, because he's Jesse the fucking Body Ventura, and he'll wear whatever the bloody hell he likes. Gorilla and Jess go over the rules of these matches of survival, as well as highlighting the feud between the Honky Tonk Man and the Macho Man, which we'll see in our first match. Ventura also pointed out that this will be the first time since WrestleMania 3 that Hogan and Andre will be in the same ring together, as they'll be the captains of their own teams later on tonight. So, for our first match, the teams are...
Hercules, Dangerous Danny Davis, The Outlaw Ron Bass, The King Harley Race, and Team Captain and WWF Intercontinental Champion, The Honky Tonk Man.
And they're facing off against...
Well, they're facing off against Jake the Snake Roberts, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and the team captain Macho Man Randy Savage, who for some reason has borrowed Joseph's amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat for his entrance.
Indeed. A ton of star power involved here, so the anticipation was huge for this opener, and the crowd was red hot.
Oh God, we're all on fire, Quill!
Since WrestleMania 3, Randy Savage has turned babyface and is now feuding with the Honky Tonk Man. Because he pushed Elizabeth over. The cad!
Oh, the cad!
You put your hands on Elizabeth! Honky became the Intercontinental Champion after defeating Ricky Steamboat in a very dubious decision on June 2nd, 1987. So both Savage and Steamboat, who remember earlier on in the year had a legendary war over the Intercontinental title, concluded in their classic match at WrestleMania 3, were now on the same side as babyfaces against the reigning IC champ. Very odd. Especially when you also add Jake the Snake Roberts into that team as well. Roberts had been feuding with Savage when the Macho Man was IC champion. Roberts also had a rivalry against Steamboat where he DDT'd the Dragon on the arena floor in front of his wife. And Steamboat would end up bringing a kimono dragon with him into the ring to counteract against Jake's pet python, Damien.
Because kimono dragons are safe.
Seeing these three together on the same team was certainly a strange sight, considering that they've been seemingly trying to kill each other for the last few months or so. So Herc and Beefcake start off, but there's soon plenty of quick tags going off. The audience really seemed to be into this match. At one point, Steamboat and Race are in the ring together, which is strangely ironic considering that these two are former NWA wrestlers on a show that's directly competing against the biggest show in NWA history. The first elimination saw both Duggan and Race getting a double count-out. Duggan, like he did at WrestleMania 3, just comes across as a clueless Burk. Ron Bass goes next, following some great team action between Beefcake and Savage. But then Beefcake is next to go, following Honky Tonk's Shake, Rattle and Roll. Jake the Snake comes into the ring to huge chance for the DDT. He certainly doesn't disappoint as he nails Danny Davis with the DDT to make him the next elimination of the match. Hercules follows next, courtesy of a savage elbow from the top rope. You know what this means? Honky Tonk has seen the rest of his team whittled down to just him against Savage, Steamboat and Roberts. Jesse wonders if Honky Tonk Man could tag Jimmy Hart in. Gorilla says that is very unlikely.
This is starting to sound like a kid's book.
Honky Tonk Man takes a good kick in, then decides, fuck this, and legs it, getting himself counted out. A great heel move, and giving Savage, Steamboat and Roberts the victory. This match was a tremendous opener, with the main story being the babyface push of the Macho Man and how he would do anything to get revenge on Honky. But that time he pushed over Elizabeth.
Backhand!
Anyway, this is a great way to open the show. So, Craig DeGeorge is in the back interviewing Andre the Giant and his team. And one thing about this team is how bloody massive each member is.
King Kong Bundy looks like a potato, with a slightly smaller potato perched on top.
Wow, I wonder what ever happened to Vince McMahon being okay with big men back then and not so much these days.
Yeah, one line I enjoyed was from Bobby Heenan, where he called Hulk Hogan
a 300-pound turkey.
Yes, because it's Thanksgiving, so turkeys, haha, laugh. Laugh or die.
I'm not putting stuffing up Hulk Hogan's arse.
Oh.
Next up, it looks like the women's division has actually been given a boost since our last show. Not only is Sensational Sherry now the ladies' champion, but we've also got women's tag team champions. What? When did that happen?
Oh, I don't know anymore.
Anyway, it's ladies' champion. They keep alternating between calling it ladies' champion and women's champion. You know, whatever. It's ladies' champion Sensational Sherry teaming up with women's tag team champions, the Glamour Girls, along with Dawn Marie, not that Dawn Marie, and Donna Christian
Christian Banana.
They're taking on Velvet McIntyre, Rockin' Robin, the Jumping Bomb Angels, and the Fabulous Moolah. Somehow losing the title has turned Moolah into a babyface. Whatever.
Okay.
During the match, Jesse also talks about his next movie, The Running Man, which also stars some bloke called Arnold Sweaty Bugger or something.
Don't know who he is.
Never heard of him.
No.
I wonder what happened to him.
Wonder if he'd ever become a good governor of California.
Not like giving the joke a kick in. We get some solid in-ring action throughout the match, although a few spots did look a bit clumsy here. Velvet McIntyre, who still seemingly can't afford shoes, the poor cow, eliminated Donna Christian within the first couple of minutes, which is just as well because her name is bloody hard to say anyway. Velvet then clashes with Lalina Kai, who has traded in her grass skirts for some black and gold wrestling attire since we last saw her. Leilani Kai, thank you. Leilani Kai.
Leilani Kai.
You can say her name from now on.
Leilani Kai.
You can say her name from now on because I obviously bloody can't. Anyway, she has traded in her grass skirts for some black and gold wrestling attire since the last time we saw her on this podcast, as she's now one half the Glamour Girls. Rockin' Robin and Dawn Marie
Not that Dawn Marie.
then clash for a bit before Dawn is eliminated by Robin at the 4-minute mark after a flying crossbody. Oh, we can't do that joke anymore now.
Ah, bugger.
And now it's Angel time, as the Jumping Bomb Angels get to show the Federation just what they were capable of doing. Even Jesse says he can't believe what he's seen, comparing the Angels to the likes of Savage, Steamboat and the Dynamite Kid. The Angels isolate their competition and look set to dominate over Moolah's 5-3 lead over Sherry's team. But then Rockin' Robin is eliminated by Sensational Sherry at the 6-minute 50 mark. Moolah comes in to show everyone who's still boss, and admittedly, at her age, you know, she can certainly still go, even if she does sort of resemble some sort of fat old woman in a bathing suit these days. But the numbers become too much, and the younger Judy Martin of the Glamour Girls is able to put away the former ladies' champion. As the match goes on, Velvet gives Sherry the Cesaro swing.
What?
Yes, really. And he actually manages to pin her in a victory roll, much like what Owen Hart would do to his brother Bret at WrestleMania 10. Ventura speculates that pinning the champion like that must now surely make Velvet the #1 contender for the ladies' title. Velvet doesn't last through to the end though, as
Leilani Kai.
because I can't say that name, pins her following an electric chair drop, leaving it down to the Glamour Girls versus the Bomb Angels. And Jimmy Hart is now looking very worried. Seeing these two teams going at it is easily the highlight of the entire match. The Angels continue to impress by eliminating both of the Glamour Girls, one after the other, and even twatting them out of the South off the ring apron at one point. Good, solid match, and already looking forward to seeing the Bomb Angels again. Craig DeGeorge is back to interview the Hart Foundation and their Survivor Series team. Watching this interview makes me realise just how many great tag teams that the WWF had back then, as opposed to what they've got now. I think they've got, what, about 4 tag teams that they're just slapped together now? Usos.
Tag time players.
Well, are they actually back yet? It's not been confirmed.
The semi-back.
The semi-back. So the Usos, Golden Stardust, even though they've just split up.
So,
Oh yeah,
no.
so it's like, so much as like one. We've got...
Miz and Miz now, but they must surely be on the verge of splitting up.
There's New Day,
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
See, that's what the tag team division's like at the moment. Back then, look at this. Look at this. You've got a who's who here. It's the Bolsheviks, Demolition, the New Dream Team, the Islanders, and the Hart Foundation against the British Bulldogs, the Young Stallions, the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers, the Killer Bees, and Strikeforce.
Bloody hell.
I mean, talk about your who's who of 80s tag teams. I mean, Jesus.
That's like all of the tag teams.
That is like all the tag teams, isn't it?
And that's about...
It's a 10 versus 10 match of survival.
So that's about
You couldn't do that
20
now.
tag teams that they have.
Yeah. You couldn't do that with the tag team division now in WWE. Anyway, Demolition's theme song is of course so badass that they use it for the entire heel side. Mean Gene then interviews the babyface team in the match, and we get to see the future Mountie and the future model Rick Martel. At this point, Martel and Santana are the tag team champions, so looks like you really should have stuck around, Tom Zenk. You prick.
Yeah.
Monsoon and Ventura explain the Tag Team Survivor Series rules, where if one of the Killer Bees gets eliminated, both men go. So if one man gets eliminated, both are eliminated.
Emily, you might get your foot off my shoulder.
The Bolsheviks are the first to go before the match even gets to the 2-minute mark, courtesy of Tito's flying forearm on Boris Zukov.
Then Axe of Demolition quickly jumps in to pound Dito into tacos.
But he misses an elbow and it's over to Jacques Rougeau.
Piss.
We get some double teaming from the Killer Bees.
Oh my.
And Smash of Demolition gets himself triple teamed in the babyface corner.
Oh my.
Demolition respond by double teaming Paul Roma.
Oh my.
Roma manages to tag in his partner Jim Powers and he gets a kicky from the demos as well. Jacques tries to make a comeback for the babyface team but misses a flying body press and gets pinned by Axe at the 5-minute 50 mark to say goodbye to the Rougeaus. Jim Powers then continues to be the human punching bag for the heels as the Hearts and the Islanders gang up on him. Then it's Roma's turn to get dominated by the baddies as well.
Oh my.
Demolition and the New Dream Team work over Roma, including a shoulder breaker from Valentine and a gut-wrench suplex from Bravo. Roma finally tags out to B. Brian Blair, but he gets beaten on by Smash. Dynamite Kid makes a comeback for the babyfaces but gets stomped on in the heel corner. However, Demolition get a little bit too carried away and get DQ'd after pushing the referee over.
Naughty.
Bret Hart comes in and hits Dynamite Kid with the most unbelievable pile driver you will ever see. But that only gets a 2 count.
What?
Bret does that missed charge and chest bump spot that he does so well, allowing for Dynamite to tag Powers back in, who gets a kick in again. Seriously, stop tagging this poor bugger in. Rick Martel comes in with a backdrop and a drop kick to Tama, but an attempted Boston Crab is too close to the bad guys and Neidhart breaks it up. Tito and Bret come in to help their partners, and during the confusion, Neidhart twats Tito with Jimmy Hart's megaphone to eliminate Strikeforce at the 12-minute mark. Hart Foundation eliminating the tag team champions there, guys. Jim Powers comes back in. Guess what?
He gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yay! This time the new Dream Team, the Haas and the Islanders hit some crazy double teaming moves on poor old Jimmy Powers, including a Hitman backbreaker into a Tama flying knee. Powers finally crawls over and tags in Paul Roma. Guess what?
He gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yep, that does nothing either, as the Hearts continue with him where they pretty much left off with Powers. Valentine slams Roma and comes off the top rope with a forearm shot for a 2 count. Roma tags Powers in, which was a dumb move as he's still knackered from his previous kick in. Bret from there misses a drop kick and now Dynamite Kid's back in there. He whips Bret into the corner for 2 and adds a backdrop suplex for 2. Tags back to Roma, but he's still fecking useless as he misses an elbow. Now it's up to Blair, who backdrops Tama and then brings in Davey Boy Smith for a double elbow. Davey Boy Smith then tries to headbutt Tama, and it hurts neither of them. Wow, so apparently British guys have got craniums that are just as hard as Samoans. Who'd have thought that?
Huh.
Jim Powers comes back in. Do you know what happens next?
He gets the shit kicked out of him.
That's right, he gets killed by the heels yet again. The Harts work over Powers until he manages to tag in Davey Boy again. Bret takes a press slam for 2, Haku comes in and gets a Davey Power slam for 2. Suplex followed by Dynamite Kid's diving headbutt, but it's the Kid who takes the worst of that. Haku fires back with a super kick and pins the Kid at the 20-minute mark to eliminate the Bulldogs. That was an incredible finish.
Yeah.
The Young Stallions are back in this thing and exchange a series of moves with the new Dream Team. Bravo nails Powers with his side slam, but instead of going for the pin, he tags in Valentine. Valentine goes for the figure 4, but Powers kicks out of it and tags Roma in. But Valentine is unaware of this and attempts another figure 4 on Powers. Roma comes off the top rope with a sunset flip on Valentine for the pin at the 23-minute mark. Another awesome display of teamwork leading to another great finish right there. Neidhart comes in, but he gets roughed up by the Bees, so Bret tags in on to get more of the same. Then the Bees make the mistake of tagging one of the Young Stallions back in, and Roma gets the crap kicked out of him.
Once more.
Yes, again. The Islanders put him down for a double elbow, but Haku misses a splash and Roma tags Jim Brunzell back in. Brunzell with a leg drop for 2 and a hip toss for 2, but Haku tags Bret back in. Roma pounds him down and comes off the rope with a fist drop for 2. Bret takes Roma down and hits a backdrop suplex for 2. The Islanders work over Roma in the corner, but Roma comes back with an arm drag.
Oh my god, an arm drag!
Seriously? This match has been going on for half an hour and now you're using arm drags? Haku's a bit pissed off of this, and it actually looks like he's beaten on Roma a little harder than usual. How dare you fucking hit me with an arm drag 30 minutes into the fucking match! Including an impressive standing drop kick for a guy his size. On commentary, Gorilla says that he wants to see the Anvil do a drop kick and all. Yeah, as if that's going to happen, Gorilla. A tags in Anvil. Oh my god, the Anvil's just done a drop kick.
What?
But it only gets a 2 count.
Oh, come on.
Bret comes in, Roma tags in Brunzell, and they crisscross off the ropes into a collision. Brunzell picks up Bret for a slam, but Tama drop kicks them over. But Brunzell rolls through to get the pin at the 30-minute 27-second mark to eliminate the Harts. Now it's down to the Islanders versus the Bees and the Stallions. The Islanders try to slow things down with some neck vice submissions on Brunzell. Brunzell takes a pounding but manages to tag in Powers, who comes in with a backdrop on Haku, followed by a Roma power slam for 2. The Islanders aren't ready to lose yet, as they lay out Roma and double team him.
Oh my.
But Haku misses a charge and Roma tags in Blair. The Islanders try to double team Blair as well.
Oh my.
But Tama misses an elbow drop and Brunzell is back in. A slam on Haku and a drop kick gets a 2 count on Tama. But the Bees then stick their masks on and go for a little bit of twin magic, as Blair sunset flips Tama to finish at the 37-minute 14-second mark. What a great finish. Unusual to see the babyfaces cheating to win here, even with the numbers advantage, but still a fantastic match. As you can probably tell by how excited I've been getting while I've been calling it. This was an amazing tag team match, and although this one doesn't quite have the legendary pedigree of the 10 vs 10 match of Survival that we'll get at the following year's Survivor Series, this one still has plenty of non-stop action and lots of crazy double teaming goodness.
Oh my.
Really, it's a close run between either this match or the opening match is my favourite match of the night so far. I mean across Starrcade and Survivor Series. We then get a video package showing us how the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase celebrates Thanksgiving. This includes a montage of clips of him abusing fans and generally being a bit of a twat. Kicking the basketball away from the little kid before he could get to a count of 10 was just awesome.
Luckily, the poor kid who got to kiss DiBiase's sweaty, hairy, weird feet would later go on and become Rob Van Dam. It's true story, that.
Indeed.
True story, that. Yo, dog.
Craig DeGeorge is back again to interview the Honky Tonk Man. I get the impression they're trying to drag out the wait for the main event. The fans are starting to get a little bit restless at this point, so I'm wondering if they were running under time. Anyway, Honky puts himself over and states that he will accept the challenge of anyone. No doubt so he can walk out of that match as well.
He had a habit of doing that.
Honky says that even Macho Man can't defeat the Honky Tonk Man, and that he'll even face Hulk Hogan and defend his title against the Hulkster. Yeah, like that's going to happen.
Yeah,
So we come on to the main event of the evening. So it's
Ravishing Rick Rude, King Kong Bundy, The Natural, Butch Reed, One Man Gang, and Team Captain Andre the Giant
versus
Bam Bam Bigelow, Ken Patera, The Rock, Don Morocco, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, and Team Captain of World Wrestling Federation Championship, Hulk Hogan.
Champion.
Brother!
Mean Gene is backstage with Hogan and his teammates, and everyone's crazy. Hogan's walking back and forth in front of the camera and keeps alternating between either hugging or pushing Bam Bam Bigelow. Very odd behaviour. Hogan says that his teammates are hungry and are ready to kick butt and take names.
They're ready to kick names and take butts.
What? The baby faces then enter the arena. I guess Morocco's now completely fallen out with Fuji and Orton since WrestleMania 3, as he's now a fully fledged babyface, and he's no longer called the Magnificent Morocco. He's now called The Rock Don Morocco.
Sorry, Donny, but there's only one person in wrestling called The Rock for me.
Jesse wonders aloud whether Hogan can trust Paul Orndorff, given their rivalry in the past.
An obvious observation I noticed in this match was how Hogan's team was a set of 4 bodybuilders and Bam Bam Bigelow, while Andre's team was 4 overweight blokes and Rick Rude.
Butch Reed's the first one eliminated after the babyfaces gang up on him.
Oh my.
Finishing off with Hogan dropping the leg drop and getting the pin at about 3 minutes into the match. Hogan was celebrating with his teammates. Yay! Woo! High five! Way! Yeah!
Yeah!
And then Andre comes in, and Hogan's shocked when he turned around. We think we're going to get Hogan versus Andre, but no, the referee's making Hogan go out, and Patera come in, because apparently Hogan made a tag when he was high-fiving everyone.
Okay.
When Patera comes in, Andre just goes, "Fuck this," and tags himself back out again, bringing in the one-man gang. The gang was hopeless here, as he did nothing but punch people and fall really awkwardly on them. I even heard him calling a few spots when he had Patera in a front face lock. Well, I say front face lock, it looks like more like he was going to sleep on him. The one-man gang eliminates Patera at the 8-minute mark by sort of falling on him, really.
Maybe he was tired.
Orndorff wasn't so wonderful on this night either. When he was calling to put Rude away in the pile driver,
The drive piler.
not like calling your finish, Bundy came in and nailed him from behind, and Rude schoolboyed him and eliminated him. This didn't sit well with Hogan's team, as Morocco, Bam Bam and Hogan took it in turns to dismantle the Ravishing One before Morocco eliminated Rude following a big power slam. We're down to Hogan, Bam Bam and Morocco versus Andre, Bundy and the gang. The heels caught Morocco in the corner and ganged up on him. One-man gang and Morocco go at it toe-to-toe, but Morocco was the next one to be eliminated after the gang sort of falls on him as well.
You don't have to call it a splash, it's more like a flop.
Flop. It's more like a smother.
With his folds.
Oh, God. We're down to Hogan and Bam Bam against Andre, Bundy and the gang. Ventura asked Monsoon if we'll see Andre versus Hogan during this match. Unfortunately, we only get a mere tease of that encounter, as Hogan got himself eliminated via countout while he was busy brawling with Bundy and the gang on the outside of the ring.
Smart thinking there, champ. Oh, I don't know, maybe we could have an awesome show like the last time, but no.
This leaves Bam Bam on his own, taking on 3 men. The total reverse of the first match. This is smart booking. Luckily for Bigelow, he pins Bundy after a slingshot diving headbutt from the outside, and then a few minutes later he scores a pinfall victory over one-man gang. Come on, Bigelow! Make yourself famous! Grab the main event ring and show us that you belong in the main event picture! Yay! But then Andre comes in and flattens him. And after a double underhook suplex, Andre wins to be the sole survivor.
What?
The ending to this match really peeved me off, as Hogan runs out with the belt to chase off Heenan and Andre. You couldn't have come out sooner, Hogan? Personally, doing a bit of armchair booking, I'd love to have seen Hogan interfering in the last moments of the match where it was just Andre and Bigelow. Hogan could have gotten involved, Andre could have gotten himself counted out or something, and he would have created a new star in Bam Bam Bigelow. That still would have then developed the feud between Hogan and Andre, because Hogan made sure that Andre wasn't the sole survivor. Anyway, to no surprise, Hogan steals the spotlight and ends the pay-per-view by standing in the ring and posing to all the fans. Hey, you lost, Hulkster, get out of there. What an attention seeker. Mean Gene gets a word from Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan backstage. Bobby said that if Hogan truly wants Andre, he'll face him inside the ring, but he has to sign his name on the dotted line. Smart thinking there by Bobby and Andre. We then go back to more Hogan posing. Oh, come on, Hulkster. So in conclusion, I really enjoyed this pay-per-view. Even though it was only 4 matches in total, and the Hogan attention seeking at the end kind of pissed me off, each match got a good length of time to showcase some of the talent that this era of the WWE had. To be honest, I wish WWE had talent like this in today to bring back the classic Survivor Series concept back, and to give the whole pay-per-view the entire Survivor Series treatment, not just 1 or 2 matches, you know, rather than just having Team Cena against Team Authority, and that's your Survivor Series match, and then maybe a Divas one as well. Have the entire pay-per-view full of Survivor Series matches. That was a concept I really enjoyed. It does seem that they're trying to drag out the wait for the last match. Again, I don't know if that was because they were running behind with time or whatever, but this show was actually much better than what I remembered it being from when I originally watched it on good old VHS. It has aged well as a show, and it comes highly recommended. Overall, Survivor Series was a far more exciting and far superior show to Starrcade. After Starrcade was completely outperformed by Survivor Series, Jim Crockett Promotions and the World Wrestling Federation continued to compete against each other. When the NWA chose to hold the Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view in January 1988, the WWF created the Royal Rumble event and held it on the same night as Bunkhouse Stampede. In return, Jim Crockett Promotions created the first Clash of Champions, a television special, and held it on the same night as WrestleMania 4. So it looks like it's going to be a busy couple of months for us here trying to cover all of these. But what do you think? Our audience, do you want us to cover just the WWF stuff? Or do you want us to cover both WWF and NWA/WCW? Let us know in the comments section. I mean, I think from after watching this first sort of NWA, WCW pay-per-view, has it put you guys off watching anymore?
Yep.
Has it really?
Yep.
Except for Halloween Havoc with Rey Mysterio and...
Oh, it'll be a few years before we get onto that. Although there are some absolutely batshit insane stuff that happens at Halloween Havoc, including the Chamber of Horrors match, which finishes with Abdullah the Butcher getting put in an electric chair. And like, little Natty was giving me a look now as if to say, what? Yeah, serious.
Serious?
If they put him in an electric chair, yeah.
Abdullah the
And
Butcher.
they throw the fatal lever to win the match.
Even though the fatal lever has already been thrown before.
Yeah, like during the match the levers kind of sort of dropped down, haven't they? I think we will
Did they actually turn the electric chair on though?
Of course not, you Billy.
It's not a real Jesus. So I think we will mostly cover WWF stuff in this podcast, because at the end of the day I think it's clear that we are bigger fans of the WWF. But I'm sure we'll cover some NWA, WCW stuff at some point. From looking at this then, I reckon the next pay-per-view, well the next show that we'll probably end up covering on this podcast will be the Royal Rumble 1988. Even though Royal Rumble 88 wasn't actually a pay-per-view, it was a television special. But we'll probably end up likely covering that for our next podcast. But yeah, let us know. Do you want us to cover both WWF and WCW stuff, or just WWF? You know, let us know in the comment section below. So before we round this thing up, what was the best match of the night across Starrcade and Survivor Series?
The Tag Team Survivor Series match.
The 10 versus 10 match of Survival. That was your favourite one?
Yeah.
With the Bulldogs and the Hearts and the Stallions and the Killer Bees and the Demolitions and the Islanders. Okay. What about you, little Daddy E?
I'd probably say that as well.
Yeah, I've got to go with that. I think best match of the entire night is either going to be Savage's team versus Honky's team, or again the 10-men tag team match of Survival. I really can't decide, so I'm going to say both of them, as both matches were fantastic. But Starrcade gets no love in here from me. So, yeah, sorry. That's just how it is. So until next time, I'm the Big Daddy D.
And the little Daddy E.
And I'm Blanchard Natty.
We're signing out for another episode of the All-CAW Wrestling podcast type thing. Good night, everyone.
And now, Hogan posing.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. You gotta take a stand and help to hide.